characters in the Christmas story as being a motley crew. It was new to me, you know. Who knows what a motley crew is? Yes?
It's a musical group rock.
That's one definition. And generally speaking, though, do you know what a motley crew is?
Ragamuffins.
Ragamuffins? That could be.
Well,
Yes.
it's various people coming together that don't seem to fit.
Right.
From
Yes. Yes, I had to look it up. I have to confess. And it's basically one of the things, Wikipedia, you know, my spiritual resource, says that they're non-uniform and undisciplined, so that sort of fits with ragamuffin. They typically include characters of conflicting personality, varied backgrounds, and usually, to the benefit of the group, a wide array of methods for overcoming anxiety. And so when you look at the characters in the Christmas story, they really do fit that. There was male and female, old and young, there was Arabs and Jews, even the sentient beings, all the sentient beings in the Christmas story. So indeed, they were a motley crew. And around a month or so before the month begins, a new month begins, Catherine starts needling me for my message topics. And so I guess it must have been somewhere around the middle of November or whatever. And I pulled out my Christmas booklet from Unity. And there was a story by my colleague, Reverend Ed Townley, entitled Christmas, the story of us. And I always love Ed's article, so I read it. And he referred to the characters in the Christmas story as a motley crew. And I thought, great Sunday message title. So thank you, Ed, for inspiring me. So the human condition is that we think that the characters, or at least I was raised to think, that the characters in the Christmas story were people, you know, pretty extraordinary people who lived over 2,000 years ago. You know? And they did what they did when they did them back then. But in Unity, I've come to realize that the spiritual solution to this human condition of that belief is to realize that the characters in the Christmas story are parts of you and me. Okay? And they are alive right here, right now, on our spiritual journey and on our earthly journey. These characters, in fact, in Unity, all the characters in the Bible are aspects of ourselves. And that's what makes the Bible a living document in Unity, rather than some history, some myth, lots of contradictions and all that stuff that happens in the Bible. So we look at the Bible. In fact, Ed in this article referred to it as our spiritual journal instead of our spiritual journey. I thought it was, you know, I've always thought about it as a recording of our spiritual journey, but in fact it is our spiritual journal. So if we can read the Bible and really look for ourselves in these characters, it makes a difference. And we do that every Christmas here at Unity. Our Christmas Sunday message, our Christmas Eve message, we focus a lot on the aspects of the characters in the Bible. But today, I'm doing it with a little different twist. And the twist was that Ed made in his article. And that was how each one of them were challenged to stretch themselves beyond their comfort zone. So that's what I want us to look at today. How are these characters mirroring for us parts of our journey where we have to stretch ourselves beyond our comfort zone? Anybody but me been stretched beyond your comfort zone? Okay. All right. So, so as you listen to some of these stories, you know, just let your own story come alive in you. So, the first thing that Ed pointed out is that he said the one thing, but I say only one of the things that they all had in common were that they were each stretched to go outside and go beyond their comfort zone. But I say that they also had another thing in common with us, and that is that they are all aspects of ourselves, as I mentioned before. And so we have that same aspect. There's parts of us that are stretched beyond our comfort zone in everyday life, and especially on our spiritual journey. So he talks about Mary, that Mary is forced to ride a donkey in the 9th month of pregnancy. Now, I've never been pregnant, but I can only imagine. Those women who've been pregnant, how would you like to take that long journey on a donkey right before giving birth? Okay, so that was really beyond her comfort zone, I'm sure, both literally and figuratively, but she did it. And so I thought to myself, okay, so where in my spiritual journey have I been called to go beyond my comfort zone? And I'm related mainly to my spiritual journey. It was like tithing. I began tithing about 8 years before I became the minister at Unity Santa Fe. And the reason is, when I got here, expecting there to be a Unity in Santa Fe, because there was one in the phone book, and some of you have heard this, I called, and I got a recording that said the number that you have reached is no longer in service. And I panicked, and I drove from Los Alamos to Albuquerque to go to Sunday service the first Sunday that I was in New Mexico. And fortunately, I found out they were trying to reopen Unity Santa Fe. And I said, I will do anything to make sure there's a Unity in Santa Fe. And one of those things was I realized how much money it took to run a church, and I began tithing. I'd never done anything like that before. And look at me now. I've been the minister 24 years. I think I lived up to that statement that I would do anything to make sure there was a Unity in Santa Fe. So what about you? What have you done that on either your spiritual journey or maybe some aspect of your life that really stretched you beyond your comfort zone to do something that was really, really uncomfortable? And yet you did it. Anyone want to share one?
I moved to Santa Fe.
You moved to Santa Fe. Yeah, and that was a step.
By myself.
You moved to Santa Fe by yourself, and yeah, that took a lot of courage.
It did, and it was amazing to me because I felt compelled to be here.
So we're going to give you a microphone, so you felt compelled to be here. Interesting. Yes, I love that word, compelled. Anybody ever been compelled? Yes.
And I felt compelled to be here, so it was almost a no-brainer
Closer.
for me to come out here. And once I got here, the response from the people that were still in Illinois blew my mind because they said, we're living vicariously through you. And I realized that if I didn't have the courage to have done that, they wouldn't have had the opportunity to inspire themselves to step beyond the comfort zone.
Well, that's super. Thank you. Then there's Joseph. Poor Joseph. He's blindly obedient to forces he doesn't understand. He risks the shame of marrying a woman who is pregnant with a child that is not his. That's pretty much stretching you beyond your comfort zone, right? Well, that's how I felt about leaving my job at the Los Alamos National Lab. I was really stretched because I thought, what if I failed? I risked shame. What if I failed? I knew nothing about running a church, okay? I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know if I could do it, but I felt compelled, and that was the word. I tried to talk my higher self out of it. We had long discussions, and no matter what arguments I gave, it was like, no, you've got to do this. And so I did, because this was an on-the-job training gig. It took me 5 years to be ordained after I went from the pews to the pulpit. So again, how about you? How has your spiritual or earthly journey called you to be blindly obedient to forces that you didn't understand and risking the shame of perhaps failure? Anybody experience that? Anyone like to share? Sure. You don't want to share, but you raise your hand. Yes, Sylvia.
I adopted our grandchildren.
Yes. Can you say at what age you adopted your grandchildren?
When they were, what their age?
Well, I was going to ask if you.
Oh, I'm 80 now.
And so it was just a few years ago.
Yeah, it was 4 years ago, and now they're becoming teenagers, so it is definitely not my comfort zone.
But wow, I mean, look at the courage that took. At 76 years old, she adopted they were sort of like uniteens at the time, now stepping into teenage years, into their teenage years. And you did it. And you didn't know if you'd succeed or fail, and I probably don't know every day, right? It's one day at a time. And I just have always admired and respected you so much for that, Sylvia. So, thanks, Sylvia. Then there's the shepherds. The shepherds were asked to walk away from their jobs, their very livelihood. They were told to leave and go to see a babe in a manger. Ed Tom Townley says shepherds have been fired for less than that. Right? And so then that's what I thought about walking off of my job. Risking my very livelihood. Going from a very comfortable income with lots of benefits to making $300 a week and no benefits. Oh, I did have one. They said I could take a week off every year. Okay? So I did that. And I had to live on the fact that this affirmation, God is my source, and my consciousness of God is my supply. Because I had a real financial security issue, and I had to cut that golden handcuff that was holding me to that nice, safe, secure job, and to risk what I call performance-based pay. That I was only going to get my pay if we did good enough job here for you to donate your gifts as a source of your satisfaction. And so that was really huge for me to walk away from my job. So I wonder, you obviously walked away from your job. Did anybody else walk away from your job because you were so compelled to do something? Would you like to share?
I moved to Haiti.
You moved where?
To Haiti.
To Haiti. Wow. When was that?
In 2008. And I lived there for
Wow. Yeah.
And now I still go back there every year.
Yeah, so you established a lot of friends and you still go back. All right. Is that battery running?
No, I said it's push apart.
Oh, you didn't push it. Okay. Well, yeah, so congratulations and thank you for sharing that courage to walk away from work and whatever and establish a new place. Jeannie, you look like you're chomping at the bit.
I walked away from a really good job in Austin, Texas after I graduated from nursing school there again, for the second time. Anyway, to join the Army when I was 33, which was crazy. And about a week after I was there at basic training, I said, what am I doing? And 23 years later, I was finally retiring for the second time.
Wow. Yeah.
But anyway, I have no regrets, but it was a big leap of faith.
Right. So you retired as a lieutenant colonel in the Army Nurse Corps. And then there's the Magi, the wealthy, educated, refined ones who were guided to follow a mysterious star. Because they were actually astrologers, which we don't hear a lot about. For miles across the desert to honor a spiritual birth within a group of people with whom they did not belong. I mean, wow, what a stretch. And so, for me, it was following that compelling knowing that I had to quit my job, following that guidance within me that I told you I argued with and everything, that it was like I had no choice. I had to do it. And so, so I did it. So how about one of you? Anybody else follow a wondrous, a mysterious star? Ron?
Similar story. I left the corporate world, and after several years started my own company, which failed. And I kept working on it anyway. I couldn't stop. And actually ended up living in my van, and still compelled. So I don't know the answer to that. That's where I am today.
Right. So that's somebody with that's really, following that no matter what, no matter the hardships. So that's that part of you. That's the Magi. Yes.
I went on probably 4-week to 10-day retreats this year to self-heal myself with a very special person, and self-healed myself extremely deeply. Probably spent almost $8,000 to $10,000 on it. I was willing to take the leap of faith because I know it's going to support me in all my purposes that I'm working on now. Another leap of faith I'm working on now is to actually possibly become a public figure in the world, and it's something scary for me because I haven't really done that before, but I'm willing to put myself out there and committed to being of service in the world.
Great. So how many of us are willing to support that? And then there's the setting. It wasn't very impressive. It's a stable, okay? And actually, from what I read, it's like an overhang in like a cliff, a cave. And so, for me, I went from a really nice private office with access to conference rooms and all kinds of wonderful facilities at the Los Alamos National Lab to doing church in a box. It's what it's called in the Unity Merge movement, church in a box. So we met at that building right next to Critters and Me, and it has a little room called the Banco Room when I became the minister. And we had to unpack and set up chairs every Sunday. Those of you who just show up, okay? We had to set up chairs, we had to set up hospitality, we had to set up a little tiny bookstore. We had to set everything up, the keyboard. Nothing was there during the week. We did have a closet, so we didn't have to haul it in the trunks of our car. But we all had to show up early enough to drag it all out and set it up. And that lasted even after we left the Banco room. We went to the women's club, and we had another closet. And we set up for another 4 years. And so, so it was like, that's what we did, and that's what I did. And so I left in Wetson, and we were called the Church on Wheels because we never knew where we were going to be next. But I'm happy to say that when I became the spiritual leader, that after we moved from to the women's club, we were there for 4 years, the longest we'd ever been anywhere. And then we moved from the women's club to this building. And this became our permanent home, 24/7. So you don't have to set up the chairs when you get here on Sunday morning. And it's really wonderful. So we're going to be looking, well, I guess anybody else with a less than impressive venue? Yes? Stephanie.
So I got married at 21 and had 2 children and then divorced a few years later. And for 19 years I was out of relationship. And then in my mid-40s, this fellow went ass over tea kettle in love with me. And I spent 4.5 years trying to get myself to fall in love with him. He was an amazing guy. We made each other laugh. We enjoyed the same things. And he was a multimillionaire. We had vacation home up in the Adirondacks. He had a plane. We flew everywhere. And I just tried to get myself to fall in love with him. But toward the end of that relationship, I actually fell in love with a woman. And my friends were saying, "Are you out of your mind?" And the answer was yes, I was finally actually out of my mind and in my heart, in my body. And so I said goodbye to that and said yes to this amazingly beautiful woman who remains my best friend today.
Yes, Mark?
Another question, does the Motley crew include all the animals that were in?
Yes, the Motley crew does include the animals, but we weren't going to talk about the jackass today. Mark, I can only say that to
What's the
Mark.
lesson to be learned? What's the lesson to be learned that our Savior was born in the presence of farm animals?
That's right.
Just wondering.
But say what you want to say about that.
I just did.
Okay. But what meaning should we give that?
Well, that there's a great deal of significance to all of us in terms of our spiritual sense that we need to pay attention to the animals and their presence and what they deliver to us at such a sacred moment. You know, this is, at least historically, the birth of the Savior, and he's surrounded by animals, and we kind of neglect all of that, and I think it's essential, to me anyway. Anyhow, that's it.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Mark. And Mark and Debbie and Leslie are a team that are called Guardians of Being, based on Eckhart Tolle's book about animals. So if any of you have a passion for the animals, and if anybody wants to quit eating them and go vegan, Mark and Deb will talk to you about that too. But not a requirement here, even though the Fillmores were vegetarian. They ate cheese, but they were quite passionate. In fact, somebody brought hot dogs to a picnic once, and Charles Fillmore nailed it to a tree. And then the best story, since Thanksgiving's over, I can tell you, Myrtle, their son was coming home from the army, and he wanted to bring friends for Thanksgiving dinner, and he said, "Can't we please have a normal Thanksgiving dinner with a turkey and all that?" And Myrtle Fillmore said, "I will have no murdered thing on my table." So they were quite passionate about animal welfare. And so thank you, Mark, for pointing out that the importance that we honor our other sentient beings. So, how-to. The how-to is always meditation here at Unity Santa Fe. And what I invite you to do in your meditation, which I know you do every day, is to really contemplate the characters in the Christmas story. Maybe contemplate their characteristics in regard to a challenge you may be having, or just in terms of the Christmas season. How are they a mirror, reflecting back to you these traits and characteristics, so that the Christmas story comes alive this season, maybe on a deeper level than ever before. And of course, if you are stretched to go beyond your comfort zone, do it, right? Accept the stretch. And let's begin doing that right now in a sacred time of shared prayer. So I invite us to take a moment to, again, just be fully present. Whether you're focused on your breathing or your physical sensations. Your sense of hearing, tasting, smelling. Just be here right now. And as you recall those times where you have stretched yourself beyond your comfort zone, truly acknowledge yourself for that. Acknowledge yourself for the courage the wisdom, for the joy. Of being true to yourself, of listening to that divine guidance from the wisdom that you are. And then maybe let come to mind, what's calling you right now today? What's calling you to stretch beyond your comfort zone? What's calling you to stretch to be more than you've ever been? Even if it's in a small way. Which one of the Christmas story characters are you being called to emulate? Which one of our 12 powers is needing to be called forth? And those 12 powers are faith, understanding, will, imagination, zeal, power, love, wisdom, strength, order, life, release. What power, what characteristic has your name on it, is calling you this Christmas season and even into the new year? And I invite you to not try to figure it out with your head, but to just rest. Allowing it to reveal itself to you in the silence. And as we gently bring our attention back to this time and place, I invite us to allow gratitude to fill our hearts for more deeply understanding the Christmas story on a personal level, so that we might choose to emulate attributes of those characters in our own lives. To call together that motley crew in the midst of us and support, nourish, and inspire them to do what is theirs to do. For the wisdom, for the courage. I say on our behalf, thank you, thank you, thank you. That it is so, and so it is, and so we let it be. Amen.